Well, hello, good evening, and welcome. We have just a few folks on the line right now, but we are so glad you're here. Thanks so much for your patience. We'll officially get started here in just a moment. So again, good evening and welcome. Welcome everyone to this live telephone town hall meeting we have for you tonight with Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, or SVEC. Again, hello and welcome. You're live on the line with SVEC for our member telephone town hall meeting. Now, we do these calls as a way to reach out to you and open up the conversation, and we want to hear from you. So if you'd like to join our meeting tonight with your question, comment, or concern, just press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Again, to get in line with your own question, just press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Tonight, we'll be taking your questions live. And in order to hear from as many members as possible, we'll ask you to please keep your comments brief and know that we'll limit remarks to 2 minutes per member if necessary. One more thing. Tonight, we're not able to take account-specific questions during a call since this is a public forum. So if you do have questions about your own specific account, we'll ask you to call your service location or about your service location. Call us during regular business hours. That phone number is 1-800-234-7832. But again, if you have a general question for SVEC, your co-op, please press 0 to submit that. Now, if you're just joining the call, welcome. You're live on the line with SVEC for our membership meeting. And we're dialing out to all of our members right now, so bear with me as I go through this introduction a few times. Again, you're live on the line tonight with SVEC, and we have our president and CEO, Greg Rogers, standing by to answer your questions. So to get in line with your own question about SVEC, your co-op, just press 0 on the keypad on your phone. And again, we'll hear a little bit up front, and then we'll get right to your live questions and answers. As I said, we are taking your questions live, and tonight we want to hear from as many members as possible. So we'll ask you to please keep your comments brief and know that we'll limit remarks to 2 minutes per member if necessary. So I'll just go ahead and welcome everyone one last time here before we officially get started with our meeting. Again, thanks for your patience. It takes just a little while to connect everyone over the air, and we want to give as many folks as possible the chance to join in. Get started. So again, good evening and welcome. Welcome everyone to our live telephone town hall meeting we have for you tonight. Again, you're live on the line with Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, or SVEC, for our membership meeting. And we do these calls as a way to reach out to you and open up the conversation and hear from you. So if you'd like to get in line with your question tonight, join our meeting with that question, comment, or concern, just press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Again, press 0 to submit your own question. That now, if you already have a question, or at any time throughout the call, if you come up with a question at that point, just press 0. But I will ask you to be respectful of all the other members on the call tonight. We want to hear from as many members as possible, so please keep your comments brief and know that we'll limit remarks to 2 minutes per member if we must. One more thing tonight, we are not able to take account-specific questions or specific questions about your service location. If you do have a question about that, we ask you to please give us a call during regular business hours. I'll give you that phone number. It's 1-800-234-7832. But again, if you have a general question for your co-op, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone to submit that right now. And again, we have our president and CEO, Greg Rogers, standing by to answer your questions live. But with that, I would like to officially kick off our meeting. I'm going to turn this over to SVEC's board chair, Jerry Doffelmeyer. Mr. Doffelmeyer, please take it away.
Oh, good evening, everyone. I am Jerry, SVEC's board of directors. We look forward to your questions momentarily. Before President and CEO Greg Rogers takes over, on behalf of the board, I want to express sincere appreciation for co-op employees since the last time we held one of these events in the fall. It is not lost on any of us that the wind, ice, and winter events that have happened in recent months have created obstacles for all. SVEC employees battle both the physical aspect of repairing infrastructure and the mental toll of long hours away from family. We know preparing for storm season happens throughout the year, and we appreciate that our team at SVEC is always working with our mission of providing safe, reliable electricity at the best possible value in mind. We are proud of the people of SVEC and honored to work in their interests along with you, our members. For brief remarks before we get to your questions, I will hand things over to President and CEO Greg Rogers. Thank you again for joining our call tonight.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in real quick, Gary, and just a couple reminders, and then we'll get right to our president and CEO. As a when you can push 0 to ask a question this evening, and please do not ask account-specific questions during this call. We just can't take those in a live public forum like this. And again, we do ask that you be respectful of all members, be brief with your questions and comments, and know that we'll need to limit remarks to 2 minutes per member if necessary. Also, a lot of information is, you can find a ton of information there about our cooperative. Visit svec.coop, Before we get to your questions, let's bring in our president and CEO, Greg Rogers, live on the line.
Thank you very much. Welcome again, everyone, to another telephone town hall. I'm Greg Rogers, president and CEO of Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative. I've always been impressed by the variety of questions we receive during these events, and I do see there's some already in the queue, and that should make for some productive discussion tonight. But first, bear with me as I have a few high-level updates that affect the entire membership. First off, equity allocation notices for active member accounts in 2024 should be provided starting in May. These notices will either be posted in your online business account with SVEC or mailed with printed bills if you are not set up online through svec-online.coop. That's svec-online.coop. As of May 1st, anyone without an online account or an eBiz account, as we call it here, should expect a copy in the mail with your bill. In previous years, with only a few exceptions, the allocation notices were mailed separately from the bills in their own envelope. Allocation notices summarize member investment and are an important part of the cooperative business model that makes being a co-op member a unique experience. They show the amount that has been assigned to each member's account as their ownership in the cooperative. A member's equity is based on the amount you are billed for electric distribution service throughout the year. These funds may then be returned to the members in the future as capital credits at the board of directors' discretion. Again, look for this equity allocation notice in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions about this topic or anything else tonight, I remind you, press 0 and you can enter our queue. Also in the coming weeks, you will receive a notice for this year's annual meeting. In June, members will be mailed a proxy for meeting participation and a ballot for this year's Board of Directors election. The meeting will be held via telephone, just like we're doing here tonight, on August the 7th. But unlike tonight, you will need to RSVP for the annual meeting once open registration happens this summer. If you cannot listen to the meeting as it happens, you are encouraged to return the proxy that will be mailed to you. A proxy helps the co-op meet its mandated quorum for attendance by allowing members who cannot attend to be represented by a member who can. We will randomly select winners for bill credits to anyone who RSVPs or sends in their proxy again this year also. Voting for the board of directors will occur by mail and online at the same time as the annual meeting registration, and members may return their proxy. On this year's ballot for the election are seats assigned to Augusta, Frederick, and Page counties. Incumbents Larry Howdyshell, Augusta, Todd Van Horn, Frederick, and Brian Plum, Page, will be unopposed in their pursuit for another 3-year term on the board. The cooperative did welcome petitions from any members wishing to run for the board, but there were no submissions. Cooperatives rely on members electing members to serve on the board, which is another unique aspect to our structure of self-governance. Please consider participating in the annual election and annual meeting and election process this year. I'll conclude by mentioning the importance of keeping your contact information updated with the cooperative. By answering our call tonight, you obviously have an updated phone number on file with us. However, you should also confirm an email address with us as well. A select group of members with emails on file will be contacted in May with a residential homes energy survey, which is another opportunity for you to help us serve you better. You should also remember to notify us if you move out of SVEC service territory for the purpose of receiving capital credits that I referenced earlier. On behalf of our more than 250 employees, thank you again for being an engaged member by listening tonight. Now we'll let you participate further with questions that you might have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We've got Gloria standing by, Camilla, Manuel. Great questions coming in. Reminder, press 0. Now, as we get started, I do need to remind everyone that we want to hear from as many voices as we can tonight. So please do keep your questions, comments, concerns brief, and know that I'll need to limit remarks to 2 minutes per member if necessary. But let's go right away to Gloria in Stanley. Gloria, you're live. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. If someone has a tree in their yard and it falls and takes power lines down, who is responsible for the cost of those power lines being replaced?
Okay, great question, Gloria. So the way you described it there, I'm going to make the assumption that it's the line from the pole or out front to your actual home. I need to make that assumption because that helps us define where that cost factor falls. So if a tree falls across the line, takes down the line between our pole and your home, then we would come out and put the line back up between our pole and your house. However, if it ripped the service entrance off of the side of your home as part of that process, or the meter base or any kind of damage there, you or your homeowners would be responsible for putting that back up, and then we would reconnect everything. Sometimes we are able to put those back up temporarily with the help of an electrician and get those back into play, but ultimately we need to make sure that they're done correctly and make sure we are hooked up to a good solid connection on the member side. So we would put down, if there's no other damage and it just pulls off the house, we would put that service back up. Now on those trees that fall between the last pole and your home, we would not do anything with that tree other than clear the line from it and then put it back up on your home. The tree would remain down, and you would clean that up just like any other storm damage in your yard.
Excellent.
Thank you for your question.
So much. Yes, and thank you, Gloria, for joining our conversation tonight. We've got Camilla up next in voice. Camilla, you're live. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the time. And I was wondering about that equity allocation you talked about, and you said in May we would get the notice. Is that the check will be in May? And does that come out like every 4 years, or how does that work?
Okay, great question. Yeah, what I spoke to tonight was the allocation, and the allocation based on your prior year's usage gets allocated to your account. So that's your share of ownership, your allocation of ownership in the cooperative. Every year, our board of directors looks at the allocations that were made over the years, and they make the decision based on the financial health of the cooperative, how much of that to give back as what we call a capital credit. So allocation comes first, based on last year, and then based on all your years of allocation, the board can decide to retire a portion of those we call capital credits back to the members. That happens every year, and it's based on the financial health of the cooperative, and is a decision made by our board of directors. That action, if taken by the board, usually follows the allocation by a month or so. So in this case, I mentioned the allocations will come out in May. If there is action taken by our board to retire capital credits, that would be probably in the June-July time frame.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Camilla. All right. We have Manuel, Robin, Ari up next in line. Great questions coming in. Great conversation so far. Manuel in Winchester, you're live. Please go ahead with your question.
Hey, guys. I just want to say you guys do a great job. All the time when the power goes out, I appreciate, 2-3 hours, no power is tolerable, and you guys are always on top of it. And the girls too. I'm just a little concerned. I moved here 3 years ago. I have a power line leading to my house, and it's covered with trees and bushes and everything. I just want to make it easier for the guys when they come to, if a storm does happen again, it won't blow anything down. Come trim around the power line, the pole and everything in between my two properties.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. First of all, I want to acknowledge your compliment there at the beginning. We have an extremely hard working group of individuals working here at the cooperative that I also feel do a great job, and it's always nice to hear that coming back from our membership. So thank you again for that. Again, I have a lot of confidence and faith in the work that our folks do, so appreciate that. Regarding your question, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to make the assumption here that line is from the last pole and then it's the line into your house. If that is the case, then on those lines, we don't actually do the tree trimming on those lines, but we would come out for safety's sake and disconnect the line, coil the wire up on the pole. A contractor could come in and clear any trees that may be of concern for the wires or your house. A lot of times, obviously, if they're in that proximity to our line coming into the house, then there are always an issue for the house as well. So take those lines down, then we would come back out and do that reconnect, and that would be at no charge from the cooperative. If the trees are on a line that what we call our primary line, which is the line that goes pole to pole, then that would be part of our normal vegetation cycle out there, and we would come and do that. And we're on about a 6-year rotation cycle now where we go from circuit to circuit to circuit. If something happens that causes a really dangerous situation, then our folks would come out and look at that, and if they felt like it needed to be taken care of before we hit that cycle, then they would do that. So again, thank you so much for your question. Appreciate the comments around safety. Safety is important here at the cooperative, and thank you so much for having that as part of your concern as a member. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, Manuel. Let's go to Robin up next in Strasburg. Robin, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, I'm just wondering if I noticed that we got new meter put on, especially I did, if we will see any changes in our electric bill from that.
No, our meters are calibrated, whether they were the ones that were there before regarding usage or the new ones. We are going through what's called automated metering infrastructure replacement across the entire system. So all the meters across the entirety of our 100,000 members will be replaced with the new meters. This allows us a lot more access to these meters. We gain a lot more information regarding outages and other things that we may be tracking. It regards what time in the past we maybe had limited access to the time frame that we had, But now this provides much more information, not only for us as the cooperative, but ultimately for the member. So you will not see an increase on your bill unless you increase usage as a result of that, but not due to the change in the meter. That will not result in a change in your usage.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that clarification. Great question, Robin. So glad that you joined our meeting tonight. All right, we've got Ari and Gerald and Corey. A reminder, you can press 0 to submit your own question. Let's go to Ari up next in Monterey. You're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. So I guess I'm just sort of jumping on what sounds like a bandwagon now. Jerry started with this, and Manuel echoed that. I just wanted to say thank you very much and express our gratitude. Having had power provided by one of your competitors not too many years ago, we've got a sort of a comparison point, and y'all are basically just incredible when it comes to restoring power and maintaining that power, especially when there are, in pretty nasty environmental conditions outside. My family, we all live at the end of a 1-mile tap line through a rocky gorge, and there are 4 meters down here for 3 customers, and we still, power is just back in remarkably short time, all things considered. So just wanted to express that gratitude and say thanks.
Hey, that's super nice. I appreciate, first of all, as a member, you taking the time to call in, listen to this update, and provide that compliment. I will again stand behind the hard work that our folks do out there in some pretty tough conditions. We have had tough conditions so far already this year a couple of times, and so I will make sure that this gets passed on to those folks that are out there each and every day, each and every night, in bad weather and wind and other things, to make sure that they know the appreciation that's been said here this evening. So thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank
you so much, President and CEO. All right, let's go to Gerald in Mount Jackson up next before we have Corey and then Joffrey. Gerald, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
I wanted to ask the question was in concern about the roundup that you have, like the bill comes to $80.92. You just round it off to $82, something like that. I think it's called roundup. I was reading in the bulletin that we get our bulletin comes up on the screen. I read that. I seen you putting it out there, where you send it to, who you give it to. But I've never noticed, maybe I missed it, I've never noticed any one of the fire departments ever involved in maybe the roundup money that you guys get. I'm just curious if you have given to them, or if you plan on giving to them, or what. But, our fire departments, there's all of them are struggling for work, for people to come in and probably need help to keep the equipment and all that up there. And these fires we've been having there lately, these woods and stuff. And I was just curious. You guys do a super job, just like these other 2 guys said. I agree with them. You guys work hard. I know you. I'm an old military man. I've been around a long time, and I really appreciate the way you guys do handle this electric. And if the power goes out, don't really bother me and my wife, because we don't open the refrigerator. We sit and just relax. So it don't matter if it takes a couple 2 hours or 3 hours to come on. We're not going to open the refrigerator or ain't worried about anything, really. And I know it'll be back on a couple hours later. That's the way you always are. And I thank you for that. Well, I'm just curious about that roundup. If you thought about maybe doing something, I just haven't seen it on any of the bulletins. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gerald. Appreciate that question. Also appreciate all of our membership that participates in Operation Roundup. It's a huge benefit back to the communities directly that we supply to, that is on our territory, and we really do appreciate that, and we've been able to do some really good work through that. I will say in general, folks have to basically apply for those grants when they are available, and they can apply, and then we have a separate board of individuals that looks over those grants and awards that money. We do have several instances where we have given grants to emergency services folks. Rockingham Augusta Search and Rescue's been one of them. There have been local volunteer fire departments in Gore, Singer's Glen, and other places that we have always tried to accommodate if those folks put in for a grant. So we do try to get that out there if they have applied for those grants. But we really appreciate, we've been able to really give to some good causes over the time we've had that program in, and appreciate the fact that when we announce that, people read through those, because I believe that also gives our membership a good opportunity to know where they might donate some of their time in the community and do good work for a lot of these entities. So thank you very much, Gerald. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's keep going down our list here. Let's go right away to Corey. Corey, you are up next. Please go ahead with your question. You're live.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. I'll echo what everybody else seems to be feeling, and that, extremely happy with the service, especially when it comes to outages. You guys seem to be getting the power back on in a timely manner. I know there's been probably one incident where it was out a little bit longer, but I think it was a pretty major outage, so it's completely understandable. We recently had this is on not my particular property, but a road in the community, some trees knocked over a line. They came out, restored power, connected new lines. However, the old lines are still hanging over the road and down onto the road, and you actually are driving over the old lines that are hanging into the road. How does that get taken care of? Does that get taken care of? Not sure what to do there.
First of all, thanks for the kind comments there at the beginning. Appreciate that very much. Again, echo a lot of my comments about the hard work of the individuals. Obviously, there's a lot of damage sometimes done in these storms. We are not the only we're not the only entity out there. Some of these may be non-power lines that are on other communication facilities and stuff, or they may be exactly what you described there as a power line that needs to be fixed. So we have, I assume we'll have your information from this call, and we'll follow up. But if not, go ahead and make a call into our 800 number and give the location of that. We'll have somebody come out and verify exactly whose resources those are. And if they're ours, we'll clean that up. We do not like anything hanging down like that. Even if it's de-energized, it just sets up a bad safety scenario. And so we do like to take care of those as soon as we possibly can. So go ahead and give us a call and describe that to the member service rep you talk to. They'll take that location down, and they'll send out one of our field personnel to take a look at that, and we'll take care of it from there, unless it's somebody others facilities, and then we'll pass that along as well. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And Corey, we'll tag you as follow-up as well on the back end here as well. Sure. All right. Up next, we have Jeffrey before Mark, and then Trish. Let's go Jeffrey right now in Winchester. You're live, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. I already, first of all, along with everyone else, I do want to convey my appreciation for the service and the quality of the service, which is commendable. But I already posed my question, which was in regard to what, if any, agreement or arrangement or effort in cooperation is there between solar and SVEC?
Okay, so we work with our members directly. Any member who is interested in solar, we work with our member, and then once they, make a determination, and we always encourage our members to get with us early when they're considering solar. We will not recommend a particular vendor, but there are lots of good ones out there, and we will make sure that the member is educated and knows the kinds of questions they should be asking in order to exactly get back what they expect out of the installation should they decide to go that way. We do not have any special deals with any of the particular vendors. Our focus is to make sure that if a member wants solar, that we're there to help them get that interconnected into our system. And the main reason for that is twofold. We want, first of all, as I said, our members to be well educated when they make these decisions, so that the savings or costs that they end up incurring is in line with in the future with what they expect. Secondarily, it's a main consideration for our field personnel who have to work on the lines to make sure that when these solar installations are put in, that they are done in a manner that allows for the disconnection of service and outage-related situations, and just controls that so that there's no backfeed as we're restoring power. So those are the two ways we work. We obviously, if the vendor has any issues and, needs technical assistance, we do our best to help them work through those issues. But we do not have any arrangements specifically other than those members that want solar, helping them through that process and making sure they're as informed as possible.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for that question, Jeff. Let's go to Mark in Winchester right away. Mark, you're live. Please go ahead.
Hi. Well, I'd also like to echo a lot of the other sentiments as well, is that the power has been extremely reliable. I monitor the power in real time, and the amount of variation in power has been absolutely stable. I'm very impressed. But what my question is, I'm a member of the FCC Technology Advisory Council, and with the increase with this administration, with the increase in demand for AI data center growth, 5G, which we have to add a lot of additional towers, and the 5G towers use 400% more power than the previous 4G, along with the electrical cars that are coming in Northern Virginia. They're up to 20%. What is the power company doing to make sure that we're going to have enough power? And is there any type of priority given between users and secure communications like 5G, or is it just first come, first serve on power?
Okay, Mark, great question. There's a lot to unpack with that one. First of all, I'll start off with SVEC is your distribution cooperative, and so we have an obligation to serve those loads that come into our area, and we find a way to serve those in the best interest of our entire membership. So that's our responsibility. We'll build the facilities required to serve a load that comes into our area, as is part of our responsibility. We are a member of Old Dominion Electric Cooperative and have a wholesale power contract with them to provide the energy aspect of our services. And what I will tell you from our involvement there is that it's an all-above approach. We need really all the resources available to us to not only meet the things that you said, but ongoing making sure that all dispatchable power is available when required. We've been used to walking to the corner, to the wall, and flipping the switch and having it be there, and we want to make sure that that continues into the future. But it will take work through the process to make sure that all the resources that get brought to bear, and we're a part of the Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland regional RTO, Regional Transmission Authority, or transmission operators, and that is basically most of the Northeast here. It's not just limited to those three states in the name. It's also referred to PJM. They control the process. That's what you were asking about. They control when somebody comes and says, I want hooked up at a level of the types of loads you were talking about. They're the ones that kind of control that interconnection process, along with the transmission operators who do the studies that you mentioned. And then we make sure that's all that's pulled together when it finally is serviced to to our members. Now, we are making sure as part of our process that our entire membership is in our thoughts as we proceed down these lines and make sure that we do the right thing for anybody that basically comes to us to be served, as it is our obligation to serve. So good question. Basically the answer is yes, there's a lot of supply and demand questions coming up on the horizon, and it will take an all-out effort to make sure all those resources in play to keep not only the reliability in check, but the affordability in check. And we do care, even though our main responsibility is the distribution aspect of your bill, we know we pass on the other aspects of the bill, and we take great pride in making sure that we're doing everything we can to keep the entirety of your bill as best it can be and the best value for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for joining our conversation tonight. Up next, we've got Trish before Brian and Kevin. Trish in Winchester asked that I read her question. Says, in regard to the broadband coming in through Shenandoah Valley and Frederick County, what role does SVEC have in replacing the power poles needed for that? And again, that's from Trish in Winchester.
Yes, we have the responsibility, as basically you said it there, of replacing the power poles for any ISP that any provider, any communications providers, maybe is the best way to explain it to most folks. Anybody who wants to attach to our pole can make application. If they have a pole attachment agreement with us, then we go through that process. And if it requires the replacement of those poles, then our resources, whether they're internal or our contractors, go out and replace those poles. That is our responsibility when it comes to broadband. Now the cooperative is putting in its own fiber network for the electric distribution facilities that we have in order to make a robust electric system that responds well in the cases of a lot of the things you've heard tonight, outages and other things. So we're putting our own system. That is not to be confused with the broadband effort being done by local ISP. So we continue to work with them. They file applications. We go through our process. We go out, and once they approve what work needs to be done in order to get those done, then we're out there and replacing those poles. I will say that we are facing unprecedented amounts of pole replacements in this effort, but we have a good policy or a good process, and we have lots of resources working in this area right now, and we are getting those done in a timely manner.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Trish. All right, let's go right away to our next question from Brian in Gore. Brian, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, sir.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Geez, that's quite a bit of headache of stuff. Just throw it out there. I didn't know this existed until my wife's phone went off and I actually answered the number and I realized what it was. So I stuck around on it and I'm like, oh, wow, you guys actually, care. I mean, it's cool. Okay, so I moved from D.C. on the outskirts out here to Gore, Virginia. And the only thing that I could see, out here, because, my background, I deal with high rises and I deal with electrical, mechanical, and all sorts of other stuff. But anyways, the trees out here are an issue. So Matt and Mike, so Pepco and Asplunge, they come out here and I've seen them a few times. So I don't know if they're doing like the headway for the big poles and stuff, and I see it moving this way. But the lines out here, and we actually have one where a tree fell and broke a line actually in the yard. And you guys came out and repaired it. Like, I guess in my mind, proactive, not reactive. Just if you guys have enough staff to where you can send them out this way to clear the lines, if that would be a possibility.
Okay, yes, Brian, thank you for your question. That's a good one. And a couple of the contractors you mentioned there may be dealing with some of the transmission owner lines that going across, especially I'm very familiar with the Gore area. But the situation you described directly would have been one of our distribution areas. So basically the way our vegetation management program is set up and vegetation management is huge here in the valley. We like to coexist with our trees. But as we do that, obviously we need to make sure they stay separated from a safety perspective to the best we can. And we need to do that at a method that keeps your costs in check as a member of the cooperative. So we do what is a roughly a 6-year rotation for vegetation management, and that is side trimming. And then we do other right-of-way maintenance type of operations to help limit the growth period in between those areas. But even with all that, and we do all that, there are times when situations occur like the one you described. And when somebody sees a tree which they feel could provide an imminent danger or a situation, they're happy to call in to the 800 number. They give the location, and we have expert forest personnel, vegetation management personnel in each of our districts that would come out and take a look at that, or maybe it's an operational personnel, depending on how you describe it. And they would look at that and decide whether that cannot make it till the next cycle or not. We do guard against, we do make those calls professionally because we try to make sure that we are doing it in the best cost-effective way for the entirety of our membership. So if we feel like something can wait until the next go-around, then we will do that. But if we feel like there is a chance that this would cause an issue, and obviously we don't want the issues to come when we can't control the time in which they come, so we will take care of that. So we do have a robust vegetation management program that includes aerial cutting and all other things to keep the cost down for you. But if those trees kind of surface through, the best way to do is call us. We'll have somebody come look at it and give that assessment.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Brian. Glad you got the call tonight. That's fantastic to hear. So glad you joined us. All right, let's keep going down our list here. Up next, we have Kevin before Linda and Arletta and Lucas. Kevin in Rockingham, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm curious as to any plans in the future for SVEC to provide Wi-Fi service along with the electrical.
Okay, at this point in time, as I described a little bit earlier, our intentions are solely to focus on the communications network we're putting in from a fiber perspective as a backbone in order to support our electrical infrastructure, which is communications between our protective devices, between our substations, between our offices. So to answer simply, we have no plans in the near future to provide any kind of internet type service. We are blessed in the area to have a lot of different providers out there that are doing some of that work. And as I mentioned, if any of those need to attach to our poles or work with us, we have a process which we go through to help support their attachment to that. But at this point in time, we don't plan as SVEC to provide any Wi-Fi.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Kevin. All right, we've got Linda up next in Stanley. Linda, you're live right now. Please go ahead. Linda, are you there? You might have us on mute.
I'm here.
Right, sounds like Linda may be. Oh, go ahead. Hi, Linda. You are live right now with our SVEC President, CEO, Greg. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my question is, I live in the holler here in Stanley, and I know we have a lot of trees and things, and it seems like the trees that we see that need to be taken care of, they'll come up in here and look at them, and they don't do anything. And then when a storm comes, the trees that we're having problems with, something happens, we're knocked out with power for several hours. And I don't understand this system with this, why they don't go ahead and take care of the ones that look like they're going to cause a problem.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that question. And I'm familiar with that area as well, and I recognize that trees are one of our leading causes out there. Mostly, though, in the large portion of the time, those trees come from outside of our right-of-way, outside of our legal area to cut. We are able to, with some cases, with agreements of the property owner to take down some danger trees, but to the most part, if you look outside of our right-of-way width, that's a pretty daunting task, and trying to guess which tree will fall and which aren't is very difficult. The valley here has been plagued with the emerald ash borer and the ash trees dying, and some trees out there that look absolutely perfect are dead, and they're getting taken down in these storms and causing outages. So we do our best to look at those things with a very professional eye and try to estimate which trees, especially if they're on our right-of-way, we get those out through our right-of-way program. But we aren't able to capture all the off right-of-way trees in our territory that may do that. Now, we are taking steps to help us identify things that we may be able to do in this realm to help target that in a way that is affordable for our membership, and that is an important aspect of it, to make sure it keeps it affordable. And obviously, we have a lot of people here in the valley that don't want to live in one big field. They want the trees. They want to coexist some with the trees. So it is a balance point for us, and we continue to look at those. We're always happy when keeping our right-of-ways trimmed, even when a tree comes down off the right-of-way, extremely improves our ability to restore quickly. Because one, we can see the tree, and the other is we can get good access to it and get it cut down and get the line repaired. But I do know that's frustrating, and I apologize for that. But it is a task where, again, we're balancing cost to membership and restoration, and doing all that we can to keep all those things in check.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Linda, thank you so much for joining us. All right. Up next, we have a question from Arletta in Broadway, who asked that I read her question. And my goodness, she might be one of our longest standing members here. She says, I've lived in the same house since 1953, and sometimes the power go out, and I would call, and they were wonderful. And the people out there working through the weather and their love for humanity shows through so deeply. Arletta says, thank you for helping restore our power and those in our community. And she says, each day is a new beginning.
Wow, what a beautiful sentiment, Arletta. I really appreciate that. Again, that definitely be a comment that we share with our folks. We appreciate our caring members out there. We see it so much time and time again as we start to restore power after a big storm. The prayers for our line folk that are out there working and wishing of safety and safe work and making sure folks stay safe out there. So it really goes a long way, and I'm sure as we relay some of these things that have been said tonight to our folks, that they're going to be so appreciative of what they really have dedicated their lives to make all of your lives the best that they can. So thank you so much for that kind comment. That's very nice.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining our conversation, Arletta. All right, we have Lucas up next before Teresa. Lucas in Rockingham. You're live right now. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, yes. I have two questions. The first question is, will you send us meeting minutes after the conference call? For some reason, the automated system called me a couple minutes late, so I missed a bulk of it. So the second question is, how often do we have these conference calls? Twice per year or every quarter? Is there a schedule that you could share with us?
Okay, Luke, thanks for those questions. First of all, the first one's fairly easy. We don't send out minutes because we actually send out the recording of the entirety of the call. We post that. We don't send it out. We post it on our website. So that will be posted in a few days, and whenever that gets compiled and ready to roll. But it'll be out there for you to view or listening to at any time that you want in the future. We typically, and they're not on a totally regimented schedule, but we typically do 2 Tele-town halls, one in the beginning of the year, one near the end of the year, and then we do the annual meeting, which I mentioned in my comments. So that's done telephonically. It's not technically a town hall. It's our actual annual meeting, but it runs fairly similarly other than doing some cooperative business that needs to be done. The one in the spring we've done fairly religiously. Sometimes the one in the fall, being so close to our annual meeting, it might depend on what's going on, and we'll do that as well. We have found that these calls are a wonderful way to get access to a lot of our membership, answer a lot of the questions that people have kind of on their minds, and so we have no plan to change that. So thank you very much. And again, look for that on our website. You'll be able to listen to the entirety audio of this call.
Excellent. Great. Thank you so much. Great questions, Lucas. I'm sure you answered that for a lot of folks. Thanks so much. Okay, let's go right away to Teresa in Winchester before Raphael. Teresa, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Hello, Mr. President. This is quite an honor. I would like you to know that. Wow, I've learned so much this evening. My husband and I are new to this co-op experience, and you've been so informative so far. We've learned that Old Dominion holds the power that is the power. And my question is, we live out here in Shawnee Land. I like to call it God's land. It's a great mountain. And we live out here, and we get our monthly electric bill. I think Old Dominion faults their mind. If we use $80 worth of electricity, it costs us $180 for the bill. So I'd like you to yell at them. That's your job. and see what the heck they're thinking. and then on another tone, what about wind turbines out here? We could save some electricity for those people in the city that need it. Are they very effective? I mean, could we work in collaboration with another company? I've seen a lot of pipe people out here. I've seen a lot of different people out here doing work. You guys are doing fantabulous as far as getting the additional help you need. We can tell you're understaffed when we see these guys running around in these big fancy trucks, and our guys are running around these old beaters. You see what I'm saying? But I'm so grateful for electricity. So I'll shut up about that. I'm so sorry, but that's just me. It's not pretty, but it's honest.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your candid comments. They really do mean a lot. I think Old Dominion Electric Cooperative, which provides our power, does it on a method that they have actual assets in the ground that provide a large portion of the service that they provide to our membership, as well as the other members of Old Dominion. And I think in the future you're going to see that those assets, to the earlier question, are a valuable resource in helping keep cost in check when the market starts to increase there. There is actually wind turbines as part of that portfolio. They're more to the west of you, and I can actually see your lovely mountain from my front porch, so I know exactly where you are. They more to the west of you in West Virginia and up in Pennsylvania. They do have a lot of wind turbines. Old Dominion actually has contracted usage out of the wind turbines that are in the Pennsylvania area. And so wind turbines are good, but you have to recognize that even in Shawnee Land, the wind doesn't blow all the time, and you want service 24/7. You want to walk over to that switch and be able to flip it on. So it takes a diversity of all the different types of resources that we have out here, and it is important for us to have that kind of diversity to make sure that the power is not only available, which is the critical aspect to making sure everyone's life is where they need it to be, but it's also affordable. And so appreciate your comments and know that we do continue to do everything we can that makes sure that bill that you get is the best value that we can provide to you as a member of the cooperative. So thank you for that, and thank you for your kind and candid words. Really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for joining us tonight, Teresa. Let's go right away next to Raphael, also in Winchester. Raphael, you're live. Please go ahead.
Hello, Greg. Shenandoah Valley offers the community solar program. So I would like to know, how does that work for individuals such as myself who are on a levelized billing program and are considering excuse me, switching that program if that service is still available for individuals such as myself that are in this North Winchester, Whitehall area. Is that still something that's possible? Are they going to grow that expansion for solar energy so that we can tap into that resource? And the previous call actually touched on the wind turbine that I had a question on as well, but I'll digress on that one.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your question there. So first of all, we provide the offering for community solar because not all of our members either have the ability to of the heavy capital investment that it takes to put solar on their property, or if you're in one of the town, cities, or even a piece of property out, you don't always have the ability to put the space to put that type of facility. So we do offer the community solar as a way for people to participate in the solar in uses of solar energy without having to meet either one of those requirements. As far as how it interacts with your bill, my preference would be to have you call in and work with one of our folks that can look at your bill and basically explain what level, because there are different levels you can purchase into here, and what they would expect that would cost for you in order to do that and participate directly in a solar type of fuel. So that's what I would encourage you to do. In general, I did want to cover the fact that our community solar is out there for those members that just don't have that ability to either invest or the property to be able to place a solar facility out there. We don't have any current decisions to expand that, but we have a very solid facility in our territory, and we've got ability to provide with a lot more members a lot more access to that. So please call in, and somebody will work directly with your account. Not really able to relay how that would affect you personally on this call tonight, but I encourage you to do that.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Raphael. Let's go right away, sneaking in as many as we possibly can. Up next, we have Jay in Strasburg. Jay, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
All right. Tonight, my question has to do with the meter upgrades. I wanted to know when they're actually going around as far as the contractor to do the swap of the meters. Are the meters pre-assigned as far as that meter to the address or building that it's going to, or are they scanning out the old and scanning in new meter while they're actually doing it?
It's a great question, Jay. Actually, they're not pre-assigned. They are not pre-assigned. Basically, they are, in your terminology, scanning out the old and scanning in the new. There are actually several levels of making sure that they determine there's pictures taken, there's other things before and after to make sure that those swaps are handled, and the quality control to make sure that the house you say it's being installed on is the house that it's being installed on. So there is those double checks, that quality control is part of that. They're not pre-assigned, but they are quality controlled by making sure that the one that is removed and the one that's placed are identified in our system correctly at the right address.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Great information, Jay. Thanks for asking that question. And let's take another one here. We've got Crystal in the Ray. Crystal, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, yes, my name is Crystal, and I want to say thank you for letting me take this question. And the one lady had answered my question earlier, but I was wanting to maybe understood that so that we get a credit on our electric bill at the end of the year or in May or something that gets added to our bill, or something that our bill, the money will be taken off of our bill. Is that how that works?
Yes, ma'am. If you have an active account, then the capital credit that if there is one deemed by our board around this time of the year, and it'll follow like I mentioned earlier in the next couple of months if there is one granted, and there is a history the last several years that there has been one granted for the last couple of years, pretty consistently. But if that happens, then it would show up as a bill credit on your active account. Now, if there are people that have inactive accounts, they still are due that money back, and that's why I mentioned earlier it's important if you move away to make sure our contact information is kept up in our system, even if you're no longer a member, because there could be a time in the future where we retire those capital credits and you are due that, and it's important for us to be able to find you to be able to get that money to you. But if you have an active account, you don't need to do anything. It'll just show up as a credit on that bill once the board makes the decision to award those. That is correct.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Crystal, what a great question to actually end it on, because my goodness, I don't know where the time went. President and CEO Greg Rogers, thank you so much for answering so many questions. I know we kind of sent them at you rapid fire. Thank you for all the great information, but thank you to our members. Again, we took as many questions as we possibly could, but if you still do have a question, comment, concern, please just stay on till the very end and leave us a voicemail message. Now, we do need to pull those off old school style, so please, if you want us to reach back out to you, leave your name, a phone number, a way to contact you. Please do that slowly so that we can pull that off that voicemail, and we'll do our best to follow up with everyone in the next couple of days. So thank you again so much. We'll see you on the next call. Thanks for the great conversation, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Good